Hello guys, welcome back to Audible Odyssey. So, let's step into a world of immersive storytelling where gripping tales of mystery, horror, and adventure come to life. Each narration is crafted to pull you in.
They say curiosity killed the cat, but I've always believed that's a clever way of telling people to stay away from the truth. Sometimes, the truth is more dangerous than any legend, especially when it lurks behind barbed wire and classified projects. When the first wave of missing persons reports crossed my desk at the County Chronicle, I doubted I'd be rewriting my entire understanding of what the government buries beneath its bases. Now, I wish I'd never looked into it at all. The small mountain town of High Point was never a hotbed of unusual crimes. It thrived on mining in the early 1900s and later pivoted to tourism with visitors seeking crisp air and scenic vistas. But deep in the wooded foothills, a sprawling fence signaled the boundary of a rumored top-secret military installation. Some said it was a weapons testing site. Others whispered about UFO research. The official name on record was Site Echo, and the government insisted it was merely an outpost for routine training. But last autumn, the local sheriff's department released a cryptic bulletin. In the following weeks, more vanishings trickled in. A teenage couple who snuck out to stargaze and never returned. A hermit living off-grid whose cabin was found abandoned with a half-eaten meal on the table. And a family's camper was discovered empty near the base's fence line. By late October, the count soared to over 20 people. The authorities scrambled, forming search parties and helicopter sweeps, but the leads dried up like dust in the wind. My editor assigned me, a rookie reporter named Sam Benton, to investigate the growing puzzle. I pored over missing persons data, interviewed rescue teams, looked through microfilm archives for anything resembling an explanation. The scariest part was that the official statements remained suspiciously tight-lipped. The base's public affairs rep offered only the bland reassurance that the base had no involvement, urging people to follow local trespassing laws. Meanwhile, the vanishings escalated. Listen, Sam. I'd been in this job for 15 years, Sheriff Alvarez told me when I visited him in his accidents, falls, animal attacks. But this many in the same area, all within 2 months? Not normal. Behind him, a map pinned to a corkboard showed the region around Sitcom, dotted with red pushpins marking the vanishings. The cluster formed an almost perfect semicircle around the base's fence perimeter. Do you see that distribution? Alvarez tapped the pins. None inside the fence, all just outside in a rough ring. Something mighty fishy is going on. I scribbled notes, frowning. Could it be the base's security forces capturing trespassers? He shook his head. It's possible they detain wanderers, but then they do it quietly, not let them vanish entirely. Official channels would handle arrest paperwork. This is different. My deputies found no footprints beyond a point, no bodies, no signs of struggle either. For some reason, this absolutely terrified me. I tried to maintain a calm demeanor. Any chance it's a wild predator? An image of the base fence at dawn with a bizarre scorch mark on the ground. Predators don't leave scorch marks. They don't make entire campers vanish without a trace. Something else is going on, Sam. Something we can't explain. I left the station trembling, my mind spinning with theories of black ops abductions or top-secret weapons. The official missing persons tally reached 31 by then, spreading fear throughout the country. Families locked their doors, hikers canceled trips, and rumor upon rumor churned about the base's involvement. One early morning, determined to see for myself, I drove out to the base's perimeter fence. The single-lane dirt road was almost deserted. Eventually, I spotted the tall chain-link barrier up ahead, crowned with razor wire. A sign read, "No trespassing. U.S. government property. Deadly force authorized." My old Jeep's engine rattled as I parked on a turnout. The fence extended in both directions, seemingly endless. Cautiously, I followed the fence line for about half a mile, scanning for clues. At one point, I stumbled across a battered hiking backpack lying against the fence, half buried in fallen leaves. A hint of stale sweat and decay wafted from it. In trepidation, I unzipped it. Inside, there was a wallet with a library card belonging to Sarah Elt Benton, one of the missing hikers. The rest of her gear was intact, just a water bottle, protein bars, and a small first aid kit. I rifled through it in shock. No sign of a struggle and no footprints either, just a bag left behind. Something about the quiet unnerved me. I snapped photos of the area and then moved on, forcing my trembling legs to keep searching. All throughout, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every rustle in the bushes made me spin around, but after a while, I chided myself for being so jumpy. After an hour, though, the rising anxiety overcame me. Clutching the backpack, I hurried back in town. I showed the backpack to the sheriff. He grimly confirmed it belonged to Sarah Benton, last seen 4 weeks ago. More evidence of a swirling mystery, yet no solutions. I wrote an article for the Chronicle detailing the find, but the base spokesman offered only the same dismissive line, no comment, ongoing investigation. Then the final push came. I received a cryptic email from an unknown address with a single line of text: "What's in there is older than us. Don't trust official statements." Attached was a blurry photograph of a large hole or tunnel in the ground, half obscured by rubble. The metadata was stripped, no location, no date, but it looked subterranean, possibly beneath the base. If there was something hidden under site echo, maybe it would explain everything. Maybe a subterranean facility or an ancient chamber. I'd read many things online about conspiracy theories. The photo was too vague to confirm, but I needed to know. A few days later, I found myself under the cover of darkness. We planned to approach another section of the base's perimeter, hoping to capture evidence of suspicious activity. It was reckless, definitely not legal, but the vanishings demanded answers. The official lines offered none. We parked off a dirt track, killing the headlights. You could feel a distinct tension in the air. June and I trudged through thick brush, guided by flashlights covered with red filters. The plan was simple: get close enough to observe any patrols, maybe see if there was an entrance or structure inside, document everything, then slip away. We reached a vantage point on a small rise. The fence was about 100 yards below us. The base's interior stretched beyond, dim lights flickering among a handful of low-slung buildings. Further in, a cluster of black shapes that could have been hangars or bunkers. No sign of heavy personnel presence. At around midnight, something changed. Faint lights glowed deeper inside the base, as if large floodlights were activating. A mechanical hum drifted across the silent land. June snapped photos with his long-lens camera, cursing the darkness. Then, we heard a rumble, almost like an earthquake or giant machinery rumbling underground. Suddenly, from behind us, a twig snapped. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw June's face turn pale. Another snap, but louder this time. We spun around and flicked off our flashlights. We then heard a horrifying sound between a growl and thick liquid being stirred. I'd never heard anything like it. In total panic, I fumbled for my small handheld camera, flipping it to night vision. The screen displayed a grainy green image. I spun it to look behind us. I couldn't believe what I saw. A tall, hunched shape moved between the trunks. Limbs too long for a normal man. It advanced with an almost insect-like grace, trailing a thick fluid behind it. June suppressed a gasp, snapping photos wildly. I still struggled to comprehend what I was seeing, but the creature was real, creeping forward, apparently unaware we'd even seen it. Then a strobe of base floodlights flickered across the fence line, momentarily illuminating the hillside. In that flash, I saw the creature's face, a twisted amalgam of human features and monstrous distortions. Its eyes, if you could call them eyes, reflected the floodlights back, possibly once human, but now something else entirely. The strobe died, and we were plunged back into near darkness. But the creature hissed, alerted by the flash. It turned to face us, letting out a hideous rasp. I squeaked, "Run!" June and I sprinted blindly down the slope, away from the fence, away from that abomination. The underbrush snagged our clothes. The thing was definitely behind us, but I didn't dare look back. It let out a frustrated hiss and then retreated, perhaps not wishing to stray too far from the base. We kept sprinting until we collapsed at the car. With our chests heaving, we sped back to town, too shaken to speak. The images on June's camera, though dark and grainy, revealed enough. So that's what took those people, or what they became, the missing ones, or at least some of them, might have turned into these monstrous beings. But how? Why? We huddled in my living room, reviewing the evidence. June, pale and trembling, insisted we had to release the photos immediately. "This proves something unnatural is inside that base, Sam," he proclaimed. "We can't keep it hidden." I managed to convince him that we didn't want to draw unnecessary attention to it straight away. Besides, plenty of photos in the past have been dismissed or debunked as hoaxes. We had to be sure and maybe have some physical evidence to back the photos up. Days later, a TUE statement hit the local news. The bulletin was posted on the county's website, apparently forced by the sheer weight of public outcry. It acknowledged that the disappearance count had risen above 40 and that multiple agencies were investigating. The base's name was absent from the text, replaced by sanitized language about federal installations. Under normal circumstances, this would have stoked an uproar. But fear overshadowed everything. People read the official report and locked their doors, refusing to go near the site. Rumors soared of viral infection, mutated animals, secret experiments gone awry. On the street, I overheard frantic whispers of families planning to move away from the region entirely. Meanwhile, I steeled myself for a final push. The official report was a half-truth at best. I suspected the government planned to bury the story. If these creatures were once missing, maybe some horrific process turned them from captive humans into twisted monsters. I had nightmares of that shape scuttling. Unable to quell my conscience, I convinced June we had to return. This time, we'd attempt to slip inside the base and find real proof. The vanishings demanded it. Despite the raw terror in both of our hearts, we prepared better. We took a small crowbar, flashlights, and night vision gear. We decided on a new approach from the southern fence line, where rumors spoke about an old drainage tunnel. We set out at dusk, wading through the hush of a partially evacuated town. Many neighbors had fled, leaving empty houses. June was pale, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I kept checking behind us, half expecting a black SUV. Night had fallen by the time we reached the drainage area. A shallow ravine ran parallel to the fence. Indeed, a rusted opening poked out from beneath the chain-link barrier. The opening was narrow, maybe enough for a person to crawl through if not for the iron bars. But some bars were corroded, leaving a gap. We forced aside the bent metal with the crowbar, each jolt sending shrill echoes through the air. Eventually, the gap was large enough, and we slid through. Beyond the fence, the ground sloped upwards to a paved path. The base's interior spread out under a starless sky dotted with occasional floodlights. If we were caught, the best-case scenario was arrest. The worst-case scenario was a monstrous fate. I tried not to think about it. We crept among the shadows, staying low behind storage sheds and large shipping containers. A distant hum of generators thrummed. No guards were in sight, which was odd for a so-called top-secret base. Perhaps staff had been evacuated or thinned out. Or they were patrolling deeper inside. In a far corner, a ramp led down into what looked like an underground entrance wide enough for vehicles. A sign overhead read, "Authorized personnel only." Perfect. With our steps echoing softly, we descended the ramp. The door at the bottom. I didn't like this one bit. We glanced at each other. This was not normal security procedure. My flashlight revealed claw marks near the hinges. My mind jumped to what we had seen before. Possibly, it broke in or out. We slipped inside. Immediately, a stale chemical odor stung my nose. The corridor was lit by a flickering emergency light. We passed a guard station, empty, with chairs overturned. A half-eaten sandwich lay on the floor. Something had caused a sudden exodus. Deeper in, we reached a sign pointing lapwing to the right and holding pens to the left. That immediately set off alarm bells in my head. But we pressed on regardless. Our curiosity had to be sated, following the hallway. We saw cells with observation windows, many smashed open from the inside. A nauseating stench of decay lingered. Something had happened here. Some experiments that turned men and women into them. In one cell, the door hung off its hinges. Inside, there was a single battered cot, straps undone, and the occupant gone. My flashlight, it looked like someone's nails had grown long enough to carve stone. I gagged. A faint moan drifted from further down the corridor. Every atom in my body screamed at me to run away, but we couldn't leave a survivor down here if they were still alive. We hurried toward the sound, stepping over shattered glass. The corridor ended in a heavier door, locked from the outside with a keypad. Another moan came from within. We felt compelled to try something. June fiddled with the keypad in vain. I tested the crowbar, but the door was too solid. We could barely hear it, but we swore we could hear someone pleading for help. So, someone was alive in there, presumably locked away. But in the next second, the voice changed. It didn't sound human anymore. Something slammed against the door from the inside. We stumbled back, horrified. The door shook under repeated impacts. The moans devolved into monstrous growls. We retreated, stumbling down a side passage until we reached a mechanical room that reeked of fuel. Flickering fluorescent lights revealed a half-open hatch in the floor, possibly an escape route or a maintenance tunnel. Another distant screech echoed behind us. We had no desire to meet whatever roamed these corridors, so we descended the hatch, hoping that we could find some way out. The hatch led to a narrow tunnel, pipes running overhead. Our flashlights caught glimpses of cryptic symbols painted on the walls, reminiscent of archaic runes. My logical side came to the surface. Why would a modern facility like this have such markings? Our steps sloshed in shallow water. We kept going. The tunnel branched in bizarre ways. Each corner felt like stepping deeper into a labyrinth. Occasionally, we found strange growths along the walls, web-like structures pulsing with faint luminescence. June snapped frantic photos, muttering, "What the hell is all this?" Our pace soon. After what felt like an eternity, the tunnel sloped upward, leading to a rusted metal door. June braced his shoulder, pushing. It gave way with a groan, revealing an external vent near the base's far side. We scrambled out into the open air with the night sky above. The base's perimeter fence was maybe 50 yards away, freedom was in sight. But as we stepped away from the vent, a terrible shriek erupted from behind. One of those things had emerged from the same hatch, drawn by our scent or noise. In the faint starlight, we saw an outline of its body. It was oozing liquid from the spines on its back. It also appeared to be emitting so much heat that a faint mist could be seen emanating from it. Maybe it was once a missing hiker or soldier. Now it was a monstrous abomination. June fired his camera's flash out of reflex. The creature reeled, letting out a tortured cry. We seized the moment, sprinting for the fence. The monster recovered quickly, bounding in pursuit behind us. The creature closed in, each leap bridging yards at a time. We found the spot and half-lifted the wire. June scrambled under first, screaming at me to hurry. I squeezed through, feeling the fence tear at my jacket. The monster lunged. Sharp claws raked the chain link inches from my face. I tumbled out the other side, rolling on the ground. The creature slammed the fence, howling in frustration, unable to pass. It glared, its eyes reflecting the moonlight. It roared in seeming frustration once more, then slunk back into the darkness beyond the fence, presumably returning to the labyrinth below. We lay there panting in the dew-soaked grass. We couldn't believe what had just happened. If I wasn't with someone else, I doubt I would have believed it myself. Before dawn, we returned to town, half expecting a pursuit. But thankfully, nothing happened. We looked over June's camera for evidence. The photos were horrifying. Twisted corridors, living webs, and most incriminating of all, we realized the truth. The vanishings were due to something inside that base, an experiment or phenomenon that mutated humans into monstrous forms. The official line about dozens going missing was a half-truth. They knew. The base staff must have contained or studied these creatures. Perhaps they originated from that subterranean realm or some botched program. That morning, I tried uploading everything to the Chronicles server, but my computer was jammed. The phone lines in the office were also dead. My editor soon told me forces from on high demanded we drop the story. Government officials had visited, citing national security. The newspaper was threatened with closure if we published. But we refused to be intimidated. June and I made backups and found ways to leak the photos to online forums and bigger media outlets. We braced for a backlash. Meanwhile, the official missing person count soared to over 50, with new cases rumored daily. The base remained locked down, their spokesperson claimed. 2 nights later, a black SUV arrived in High Point. Men in suits fanned out, visiting homes and businesses, persuading people to remain calm. They insisted a solution was in motion, that specialized teams would deal with the situation at the base. Hints of a biohazard event circulated. But we knew the truth was worse. That same night, a pitched battle raged near the fence line. Locals reported gunfire, flares lighting the sky. Rumors said multiple creatures tried to break out en masse. The base's security responded with lethal force. By dawn, the gunfire had ceased. The official statement read, "Situation contained, remain indoors." The next day, a hush fell upon the region. The missing were presumably gone forever. The monstrous threat was contained, or so they said, but no real answers came. Only a quietly revised official report acknowledged unfortunate disappearances near a facility working. The swirl of rumors died down, overshadowed by new headlines. Some residents returned to normal life, but others moved away. The fences around the base remain, reinforced with new guard towers. The local authorities hush up any lingering strangers. They say the monstrous presence is eradicated, but I suspect some remain hidden in the pines or deeper underground. June and I also keep receiving cryptic messages, possibly from base insiders, hinting that the experiments continue, that the creatures are not fully destroyed. We still have our evidence, though the media labeled it a hoax or conspiracy. We watch the base's perimeter from a distance, waiting for the next sign of something creeping out at night. The vanishings have halted for now, but I can't shake the dread that it's only a lull before another wave. In the end, the best advice I can offer you is this: stay away from that fence line, from that base in the quiet hills. Because if you slip out of sight near that perimeter, the official report might soon list your name too, lost among the dozens who have gone missing near that top-secret base. And no one but the shadows will know what truly became of you. Macau Horror here. I hope you enjoyed this horror story from a very talented author. Thanks so much for listening and supporting the channel. I'd appreciate it if you could leave a comment below, as I would love to hear from you all. And I'd appreciate it if you could like and share, as that really helps as well.
Guys, the video has ended now. If you like our stories and want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to Audible Odyssey channel and do all these things. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Enjoy horror and adventure stories like this. So, just subscribe to Audible Odyssey. Bye-bye.